I'd like to call the City of Elkhorn Common Council, March 18th, 5:30 meeting to order. If we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Bruce Lechner,
Here.
Tim Sharota,
Here.
Gary Payson Jr.,
Here.
Ron Dunwoody,
Here.
Scott McClory,
Here.
Ken Minell is absent, and Carol Young. Here.
Next, we have public comment. Anybody here for public comment tonight? Nobody here for public comment? We'll move on. We have the consent agenda. The meeting minutes of the Legislative and Regulatory and Common Council, March 4th, 2024 meetings.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
We have a motion to approve the minutes. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion, changes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed on the meeting minutes. Next, bills payable, consideration and recommendation to pay. Bills this month are $2,532,906.43. They're all in your packet.
I move we pay the bills for the amount stated.
We have a motion to pay the bills. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions, discussion on any of the bills in your packet or changes? Roll call, please.
Tim Sharota,
Yes.
Gary Payson Jr.,
Yes.
Ron Dunwoody,
Yes.
Scott McClory,
Yes.
Carol Young.
Yes.
Motion passed on paying the bills. Next, we have presentation. Charlotte James, Cadet Girl Scout Troop 7256, the Welcome to Elkhorn Sign Project. Welcome.
Hello, everybody. I'm Charlotte James. I'm 13 years old, and I'm a 7th grader at Elkhorn Area Middle School. I'm a Girl Scout cadet with Elkhorn Troop 7256, and I'm in my 8th year of scouting. I've noticed after I went on some trips with my family that our city was missing something very important, a warm welcome. So I'm here to talk about how I can help improve our city's environment by sprucing up our welcome signs at the entrances into town. This will be my Community Silver Award project for Girl Scouts. The 4 Welcome to Elkhorn signs were originally installed 20 years ago as a cheery way for us to say hello to visitors going by and welcome home our family and neighbors. A big investment was made to make them look colorful and eye-catching. They reflected our friendliness and brand as a city. However, over time, other public works projects have taken priority and the team has struggled to maintain them. This is where I and the community can help. This summer, I would like to bring a new chapter to these entrance signs in order to welcome people to Elkhorn like they used to. Over 260,000 tourists visit just the Walworth County Fairgrounds each year. We have people who come to visit Elkhorn for school sports, to eat at our restaurants, and play in our parks. We have a new development being built for another 2,000 residents starting this year. It's right across the street from a Welcome to Elkhorn sign. There are lots of studies that illustrate the impact that good landscaping can have on a community, but no story is better for me than the city where my family lives in Missouri. My Uncle Eric and Aunt Becky both live and work for the city of O'Fallon. It's about 45 minutes away from downtown St. Louis, just like how Elkhorn is 45 minutes away from Milwaukee. About 25 years ago, it was a town of 25,000 people. One of the lawnmowers in their public works department named Bob Deerduff had an idea to make O'Fallon more pretty. So he asked the city council for more money to plant flowers. And he started planting flowers everywhere. The city owned a 50-acre parcel of empty land along the interstate and was trying to get a big company to move in there to bring jobs to the city. Mr. Deerduff wanted to help. So we asked the city council for $75,000 to build an enormous Welcome to O'Fallon sign with lots of plants right next to one of the properties. They agreed. The city also worked hard on some incentives, but when the people from MasterCard came to O'Fallon and saw how pretty it was, they decided to move their headquarters there. MasterCard USA now operates an enormous zero-carbon business campus and has 4,000 employees. Now I know it wasn't just Mr. Deerduff's sign that did that, but city officials knew how much it helped. Everyone saw what a pretty welcome into town invites people to live and work there. And Mr. Deerduff made a big impact for O'Fallon. So in Uncle Eric's words, now Bob can do whatever he wants. Uncle Eric says their city thinks of its landscaping like when you're trying to sell a house. You want it to look its best so people will pay a lot of money for it and move there. So you mow the yard, you clean up the landscaping, and you paint the house. The city created an official landscaping department run by Mr. Deerduff to make O'Fallon look its best too, to sell. And their plan is working. Just in 25 years, the city has grown to over 77,000 residents today. There isn't a major street or government building that Mr. Deerduff doesn't touch. Each entrance into town has a big welcome sign and beautiful flowers all year round. The picture here is the entrance to a park near the Public Works building. Flowers hang from giant baskets all over downtown. Large pots line every one of their divided streets. It's all so pretty. And Mr. Deerduff's plan is working. In 2021, Smart Assets named O'Fallon the most livable small city in the United States. Today, Mr. Deerduff still runs the City of O'Fallon Landscaping Department. He has an annual budget of $880,000 each year, a crew of 8 people, 5 big trucks, and 3 massive greenhouses filled with 19,000 plants and flowers that he spreads around the city properties each year. And this is what his original sign looks like today. Now, I'm not saying we need that kind of staff or money. Our town is a lot different, and I like that it's small. But I think we can do some pretty inexpensive things to make our town look great too. This is what we're starting with. This sign that greets visitors to our city from the interstate on South Lincoln Street in front of Kunis RV. The footprint is an oval shape and sits in full sun. It also has an animal hole right up front and 2 bushes, but one of them is dead. This sign sits in front of Elkhorn Area High School on East Geneva Street. It's a bean shape with 2 large overgrown pine trees that are trying to eat the sign. It also has a light in front of it. This sign across the street from Elkhorn Area Middle School on Highway 11 or Court Street. It sits in half shade and is 2 levels. There's also a few burning bushes around the sign and 2 trees trying to eat this one too. This sign is right in front of Culver's on Wisconsin Street or Highway 67. It's always a sign that is photographed when talking about our city because the old owners used to plant beautiful flowers there to help Elkhorn. Now there's a new owner and they don't want to maintain it anymore. I've done a lot of research and looked at a lot of signs. I met with Mr. Lindstrom to talk about this project. I also found a new pen pal. You may remember him. It's Mr. Deerduff. I sent him the photos of our signs along with my ideas, and he was happy to help Elkhorn too. On Mr. Deerduff's advice, Mr. Lindstrom has agreed to replace the big blue spruce trees with a smaller variety from his tree budget and raise the signs higher on the brick posts for better visibility. I have also been working with the local nonprofit Seeds of Hope here in Elkhorn. I will be purchasing all of my plants from their shop that are hardy for our region, bring lots of color, and won't break the bank. So this is what I think we should do. This will be the new welcome to Elkhorn when exiting the interstate in front of Kunis RV. It was designed by me and approved by Mr. Deerduff. It features black-eyed Susans, pink sedum, red and yellow tickseed, tall grasses, and arborvitae. Arborvitae, along with a variety of colorful annuals in front of a statement-making year-round display. This is the new landscaping for in front of the high school. It features many of the same plants for consistency, but it also features daylily and magenta chrysanthemums for a purple and gold wink at the high school. This is the new Court Street design across from the middle school. It contains many of the same plants, but with more shade hostas because of the lack of sun there. And lastly, this is the bed in front of Culver's. It has a variety of smaller plants to offer ground cover without blocking the business behind it. Purple Sylvia, red and yellow tickseed, orange and yellow marigolds, colorful snapdragons, black-eyed Susans, and pink sedum. Now, you may be asking yourself, but Charlotte, who's going to pay for all those plants? Lucky for you, I already have the answer. I wrote a grant to the Elkhorn Fund with Seeds of Hope, and I got awarded $1,000. Then I had a meeting with the Chamber of Commerce Executive Director, Mrs. Clapper, and she gave me $500 to cover the rest of the project. So here is my plan. The project actually began months ago when I got approval from my parents, my Girl Scout leaders, and Mr. Lindstrom to take on this project. Mrs. Leisure from Seeds of Hope helped me learn about plants that are strong and live the best in our region. After tonight, with your blessing, I will be organizing my friends, family, and other Girl Scouts to clean up and plant the beds. This summer, I will be going out with my family twice a week to water and weed the plants. Lastly, I will trim back the plants and get them ready for next year. But what happens to them next? I will spend this year looking for local volunteer groups to maintain them. The beds will be low maintenance and will just need weeding going forward. This is important. I need your help to keep these city properties looking their best to promote Elkhorn. I would like you to budget $1,000 each year to purchase new annuals, as well as replace any perennials that have died. The signs themselves are in pretty decent shape, and will just need a good washing, which I will do this spring. However, you may want to update them too in coming years. Thank you for your time, and a special thank you to Mr. Deerduff, Mr. Lindstrom, and the Elkhorn Fund, and Mrs. Clapper for all of their help. Together we can make Elkhorn's welcome bright and cheery once again. Do you have any questions?
Council?
I have no questions, but I commend it. This is your silver award, you said? Fantastic. My wife was a Girl Scout leader for many years, and she had the first troop that ever, the senior scouts all got their gold award in the same time frame. So I would like to see the council assist on this if at all possible. The city.
I know we can't vote on anything tonight or anything, but we can put it on the next agenda for, you know, for review, for putting it into the budget.
Very good idea.
Any questions, council members, or?
Nice work. And you,
Very good.
and you kept your cool too. That was nice.
No, it looks real nice too, and appreciate you doing that
Good
for the
job.
city.
Thank you.
Thank you. You did
Thank
a
you.
great job.
Okay, we have report of city officers, mayor. The only thing I have, in-person voting starts, absentee voting starts tomorrow, 9 to 4, and it runs through Friday. And then next week, it's Monday through Friday, 9 to 4. So if anybody asks, starts tomorrow. Adam?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm not going to steal the thunder of Katie on our congressionally directed spending award, but I'll just tee it up, so I'm sure she'll talk about that in her report tonight. Just wanted to talk about the ATV, UTV ordinance. The council, you guys did pass that at a prior meeting before residents and non-residents can actually drive their ATVs and UTVs on city roads. The signs need to be installed, so it's not permitted yet. I know in talking to the mayor, his suggestion, guidance was to try and have it done by Memorial Day weekend. I know Matt's trying to get those signs ordered and talking to the chamber as well as some other businesses about helping pay for it. So Matt, is just something you want to add to that, or?
Yeah, just today I had Joel and I were working together on locations for the signs. So I put together a map that shows the sign locations, and then we also have pictures of the signs, mock-ups of what the actual signs would look like, and a cost estimate that I shared with Chris and Dennis. So I was hoping that they could take a look at it, because I know there was some questions about the amount of money that I'd come up with, which is close to $8,000. So she was going to take a look at that, and then we'll get back together on it, and then we'll procure the signs after they've had a chance to review it. So.
And you said you think the signs could take up to, you said 6 weeks, you thought, or?
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few on there. I think there's like 51 signs. Well, there's probably closer to 100 when you look at both ones as you leave town and you come into town. So yeah, I'd say around 4 to 6 weeks is what they were telling me. So, but hopefully, if Chris and I can get together, within a week, we could hopefully get those ordered and get it going. I just don't want to order too many if there's questions about the locations. I just assume get that hashed out before we order them. So.
Okay, thanks.
No problem.
Just as a reminder, starting tomorrow, we'll be accepting proposals for building inspection services. So that RFP will go out tomorrow, and those are due by noon on April 9th. Matt's also been working on trying to get the structures removed from that city parcel that was acquired from the county last year. Matt, I know you got a couple of quotes for that, so.
Yep, yeah, we got two quotes for abatement of the asbestos that was found. We had Ballasteri go out there and do an analysis. Actually, it was done prior to the home being foreclosed on. So we got a hold of that report, and so we'll hire a company to abate the asbestos and then to tear the house down and all the structures that are on site. So.
And lastly, just wanted to also remind the community that we're currently looking for letters of interest from potential committee members for the Historic Preservation Commission. So if anybody's interested in that, please submit your letters of interest to either Lacey or you can send them to me. So again, that deadline is Friday, March 29th at noon. That's it for me, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Adam. Any questions for Adam, council? Okay, moving on. Report of city boards and community partners. Fire advisory, there's one next month, correct? End of April?
Correct, sir.
Okay. Next, library.
I'm going to defer to Chad.
Good evening. Just wanted to report that the library co-hosted the Elkhorn Area School District School Board Candidate Forum with the Elkhorn Rotary Club co-hosting on Wednesday, March 13th. The event was very well attended and, in my opinion, was very successful in giving voters a good overview of the candidates' experience and processes as they make this important decision if elected. We were really happy to be a part of this because it really does highlight the fact that the library is a place for the peaceful exchange of ideas from all viewpoints. Thank you.
Thank you, Chad. Recreation advisory.
Yeah, we might have a meeting in April. We're still trying to finalize that with Carl being out.
Okay. Okay. Chamber. I think Ken's going to defer to you, Chris.
Oh, boy.
Good evening. I know last meeting I had mentioned that Walworth County was the host of the Wisconsin Governor's Conference on Tourism. And just for those 3 days, we had 1,100 chamber people, tourism operators, hotel, motel, events, different things. About 1,100 people were staying in and around the Grand. There was only 17 rooms in the Grand Geneva that were not occupied by someone attending the conference. So in excess of bringing that conference to our area was in excess of over $1.1 million. And also bringing Donald Driver to the event, if anyone knows. He's the spokesperson for Visit Lake Geneva, and he attended the event, so it was very nice. But just moving forward on upcoming events for the Chamber and the community, we have our annual golf outing and awards dinner, which is in May, and those invites are all around. And then we will start off with our spring food truck in May, and then our weekends continue from there with Saturdays on the Square, Truck and Shuck, and all of our different events that we have. One of the other things I wanted to bring to your attention is the Geiger Group will be in Walworth County and in Elkhorn 2 different weekends in July. One happens to be Rib Fest weekend, and the other one is hopefully right around strawberry picking and 4th of July. Hopefully they coincide with our weather. Geiger Tour is a group of individuals who write articles that get published in like USA Today or in Modern and all these, I call them froofy magazines, where people look at different things. And we have been chosen for multiple stops here in Elkhorn, so that is very unique. Sometimes we don't make it past the Lake Geneva area with different things, but as trends have changed in travel, people are looking for more of an experience and uniqueness and quiet. And people will pay for those experiences. So we are very excited to have those in our community this year. So as soon as I know the details, I will let you know. It's not something we follow them around because they are individuals that try to fit in and just do things in the community and then hopefully have a wonderful experience. And then the press that we get is unbelievable on them if someone picks up the story, and it's free press. That's what's even the best part about it. So if you guys ever have any concerns or questions about what's going on in my world or in the chamber world, please feel free to reach out and let me know.
Thank you, Chris. Next, community grant writer, Katie.
She likes to stand.
Stand. 1 year and 3 days. That's how long it took from clicking submit on what looked like a Google form on Senator Baldwin's website to us being added to the federal budget for $3.3 million for the city of Elkhorn under the EPA's budget. I am so thrilled to say that we did it, and I'm so proud of all of us for being able to bring safe drinking water to the city of Elkhorn and continue to do so. This is something, I can't tell you how well I slept that night. It was such a great feeling because after the fourth extension of the budget where they were still debating, I was watching C-SPAN like the Super Bowl, hoping that that would pass, and it did. So I'm very excited, and I'm excited for the benefit to our residents. I also got to spend this past month at the fire station working with Chief Eichmann, and together we wrote an application for $167,000 to help our fire department. And then lastly, I've been working with Matt on a project with Kapoor. So it's been a busy month, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. Thanks.
Thank you, Katie. Next, committee reports. We have legislative and regulatory discussion, and well, I'll let them committee report do that.
Okay. We had 2 items. We met on March 4th prior to the normal council meeting. We had 2 items. The first topic was a consider and recommendation on appeal for Isabella Shu regarding a denial of an operator bartender license. The motion was made for her to reapply and to include the missing information for the city staff to review. As far as I know, everything is good to go on that now, Chief?
Yes.
And, okay. And we just need the council to make a motion and vote on the item whether to approve or deny. I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll
Yep.
second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions?
What was the initial denial? I thought I read it had something to do with being untruthful or misrepresentation or something. I'm sure there's legalese there, so go ahead.
Well, not so much
An omission
legalese.
of fact, whatever.
There was a conviction for a pot-related charge in the past, and it wasn't on the application.
Okay.
She was, her statement to the council was that or to the body was that she wasn't aware that she had to include that. She was made aware of it and changed it.
And that was just like an ordinance ticket. It wasn't a conviction, like a misdemeanor?
I believe it was a misdemeanor,
Oh, okay.
but it was, I want to say like
6 years ago.
6 years ago.
Okay. Just curious.
Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
The second item that we had was consideration and recommendation regarding a special use permit for outdoor seating at Ricky's Place at Lincoln and Walworth. And Pat Watson, the tenant, Ricardo Angeles presented a plan to the LNR committee regarding the seating. We directed city staff to send it on to the zoning administrator and planning commission for further possible action.
So I spoke with Allison regarding the outdoor seating, and she told me what forms they would need. They've picked up the forms and they're working on them. So once it goes through the process, you'll see it back, but it'll take probably a couple meetings before you see it again.
That is all we had, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Next, new business. First, we have discussion and possible decision regarding Resolution 24-09, a resolution supporting the implementation of stormwater quality improvements at Elkhorn Lake within Babe Man Park.
I could provide a little background on that if the council would like. So because Elkhorn is a community with more than 10,000 people, it makes us an MS4 community, which is a municipal separate storm sewer system. program, and it requires us to reduce pollutants. And one of the ways that we can do that, Kapoor's looked at the basins that require a TMDL requirement, and one of the ways we can do that is to install these, they're like sedimentation basins basically around Bayman Park. So we're applying for a grant to help with that project. It would be a 50-50 split. That's what we got together with Katie about last week. So this is part of the requirements for that grant application, is to make sure that we pass a resolution adopting it. So that's what was in your packet for approval.
Questions, council?
You have an idea what this is gonna cost, either way, whether it's 50/50 or 100%?
I know you would put your eye on the number recently, but I want to say it's like 235 or something.
235 and with a 50/50 split.
So half of 235.
Yep, and it's currently in our CIP. You know, we have the 5-year, it's already kind of currently embedded within inside of that. Not that it's approved, but it is in there for next year already.
And we can afford the full amount if the grant doesn't come through with the embedment?
We would just have to plan to afford for it.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
Is there any other things besides Bayman Park that we have to worry about?
For the specifically
same
related for the MS4?
Yeah.
No, not right now, no.
Okay.
We do an annual report that Kapoor helps us out on. This would be the first project that we've done to try to meet that requirement. In the past, we've been able to change the model a little bit with some field observations in order to kind of pick away at this. I mean, we've been in MS4 for probably, I'm guessing, 7 years. Probably about the time that I started here is when we became an MS4 community. So it's a lengthy process. DNR gives you time. There's goals every year. We're just kind of getting into the field adjustments, actually doing things out in the field to help reduce the pollutants. So we were trying to do something on East Centralia, and it was incorporated the plans, but the utilities out there were horrendous in the area that we tried to, and we just weren't able to get it in. So we'll have to identify some other things with Kapoor. So.
Any other questions, council? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2409.
We have a motion to approve Resolution 24-09. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Scott McClory,
Yes.
Carol Young,
Yes.
Tim Sharota,
Yes.
Gary Payson Jr.,
Yes.
Ron Dunwoody.
Yes.
Motion passed on Resolution 24-09. Discussion and possible decision regarding incorporating segments of sidewalk into the Wisconsin DOT State Highway 11 project from Church Street to Cobb Road.
I had put together an exhibit that's in the packet describing, the 3 projects that DOT has looking to come into town beginning in 2028 through roughly 2030, depending on how their budgeting goes. For this particular project, it starts at Wisconsin. No, it starts at Church, and then it goes out to Cobb Road. So when it gets to this stretch, we had met and talked about, possibly the need for additional sidewalk to address some safety concerns with the school and maybe the fairgrounds. DOT looked at the numbers and tried, at first we had tried to see if they would fund the sidewalk, and they came back and said, no, unfortunately, they wouldn't be able to. So this would be 100% City of Elkhorn. Currently, it's not in the budget, but it is something that we can incorporate into the budget. So this isn't a spend now. It would be a spend when we actually did the project. But they did give us an estimate. Basically, you'd be converting the rural section with no curb and gutter, just like it is now. You'd be converting that into an urban section where you'd add curb and gutter and do some additional grading in order to get the sidewalk to drain towards the road. So it'd probably involve some additional storm sewer. I had kind of wrote up some justifying the needs for the different locations. Does council have any questions, or?
Is there a reason we have to wait till 2028 to begin the process?
That's when they're coming through to do their resurfacing project.
Oh, okay,
So,
we're trying to align with them?
Yeah,
Okay.
we could jump ahead if we felt the need to. I mean, there's existing, so my comments that I had put in the packet, and I'll just kind of go over if you guys are okay with that. So the stretch between, this blue one here, between First Ave and the main gates for the fairgrounds, right now, there's currently sidewalk on the north side. This was something that, and I think Joel, you might have been in that meeting as well, that Larry had mentioned from the fairgrounds that he thought that it might be beneficial. I don't know that there's necessarily need to have it on both sides. You know, if, you know, you got the county fair going on, maybe it's extremely busy, you would have people walking in the grass currently. So this stretch is under consideration. I talked to Larry about it briefly on Friday, and he was busy at the time, and I just haven't been able to reconnect. This stretch has been talked about quite a bit. There is existing sidewalk here, but the existing sidewalk is, it's actually on fairgrounds property. I'm not sure when it got installed, probably years ago, but it's drains poorly. This is a picture that shows, you know, water standing on it. So again, as DOT was talking about, they would add curb and gutter here, which would elevate the terrace area, and you'd be able to drain that sidewalk back onto the road. To put it in, you know, it'd be a lot better situation than it currently is in. This last piece, I don't know necessarily that I feel that the city needs to have this. I've talked to Joel about it too, and there is interior, a path, you know, sidewalk that gets you, that has connectivity between the school and Market Street. So I don't know that, again, this one's necessary. If I'm advocating for any of these, definitely the red one, I think, is something that we should take a look at, the council should consider. But all three of them were discussed at some point by multiple groups. The school was involved a little bit, the fairgrounds was involved, and so was the city, meaning Joel and myself. And again, this wouldn't be a commitment for today, it would be a commitment for 2028. But we need to start to let them know because they're starting to design the project, so.
So you said the red section is actually on fair property?
It currently is, yeah. We would have to acquire that from the fairgrounds if we wanted to put, the terrace is very, very narrow there. That's why it was installed on private property to begin with. But from what I could tell, there's no formal agreement between the school and the fairgrounds to have that path there. They probably, my guess is just a handshake agreement, allowed it probably before Larry's time, would be my guess. I don't really sure. How long do you think that's been there, Joel?
I believe that was put when the new middle school was built at that same time.
Okay.
So, and what's it gonna cost us to buy that property from the fair?
Well, I would hope that it would be just a quick claim deed.
I would hope so too.
Benefit the fairgrounds to have a sidewalk. They're not utilizing that part of their land at all, so a $1 transaction is probably what I'm thinking.
And then who's gonna maintain it when it snows?
Whoever's adjacent to it, so it's technically the fairgrounds, I don't know who currently.
So if I may, right now, I think there was basically a handshake agreement. The school district maintains that now currently. So I think that was an agreement that they had at the time, so.
I mean,
I'm
they're
sure they would want to formalize that with the school district, would be
Would
my
hope so.
guess. But that's how it is done currently.
One thing that council should consider too, so the department has an agreement with the city. The council approved a state municipal agreement, financial agreement, an SMFA, some time ago for these three projects that I've been mentioning. So if we, or, you know, if these sidewalks get incorporated, the city would have, and we're looking for reimbursement. Let's just say that we did if you guys were interested in doing this one that's in blue, and you felt that their fairgrounds should be, you know, pay for all of it, pay for some of it, we would have to tell DOT to incorporate it, and then we'd also have to have like a memorandum of understanding with the fairgrounds to get compensated for that. So again, I could try to reach out to Larry. I will connect with him to see if he's interested in that. So if there's consideration for a split, or if you think that that should be 100% by Larry, or by the fairgrounds, if they're interested, I could certainly chat with him about that too.
Well, you said there's sidewalk already in the blue location on the north side of the street.
That's correct.
So we've already met our obligation. And then the red section, there's sidewalk on the north side or no?
There's not sidewalk on the north side. No, I imagine when that were to ever be developed as residential, multifamily, that's when that sidewalk would probably be installed. And really, the grading on the north side is challenging too. I think that it should remain, my opinion, probably on the south side. Joel, you confer?
I would agree, and it's just an asphalt path right now, it's not a sidewalk, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, I can kind of tell here that it's asphalt.
Other side of the fence.
It's right there. I know it's kind of hard to see, but
Yeah.
Joel took this picture.
Under the
for me.
water.
Under the water.
Yep,
Yep.
Joel sent that over, and I appreciate that because it does obviously show how well drained it is. Drainage is poor.
So my can you go, there you go, thank you. So
Mhm.
my thought process is, we don't look at the green because there's already sidewalks sitting there at the school. Look at doing the red, and if the fairgrounds wants us to do the blue, then they should start ponying up. That'd be my opinion.
I would agree on that too. I think the red is necessary to be redone at least too, for sure, because you can see the way it is. I mean, it's probably not the best. I mean, that's safety for the kids going, walking to school. There's a lot of kids that,
Right.
Yeah.
And you may want to consider seeing if the school district would be willing as well at all for that, because that was put in, I believe, when the middle school went in.
Sure. Hey, more the merrier.
Yeah, that's, I mean, if the council wants to assign a percentage of, you know, like a 50-50 split, if that's a recommendation, I could reach out to the school and talk to them about it. I mean, this could also come back to council again too. If there's a recommendation, we could try to settle, you know, discuss that with the school and then come back.
That would be my proposal.
Is
Go
there
ahead.
a recommended percentage that the city?
To work with the fairgrounds and the schools, see what they can come back with, what they can do, and then come back to council.
Okay.
is there still a crossing guard, Joel, at that intersection?
The school district provides one now, yes.
Because I remember there used to be one.
Yep, so the school district handles First Avenue for us, and then we are up at Market Street.
So I'm going to just spend a couple more minutes on this too. So one of the things that we had met on somewhat recently, probably months ago, actually, was between the school. The city had received an email about concerns with children crossing at First Ave and Market Street, and then also by the high school. So I met with the high school. Katie was there. Joel was involved in that, or was it you involved in that as well?
No,
Yeah.
I was there, yeah.
So we're looking at, and you may see it in upcoming budgets, we're looking at possibly putting push button signal crossings at First Ave and Market Street, and then maybe over by the high school too. So right now, DOT is looking to expand, possibly add curb and gutter, so I wouldn't look at maybe doing them now. I know that there's a need for them as soon as we can get them, but I just wouldn't want to have to install them and then have to relocate them, move them later.
Can you get the DOT to add that into their
I
budget?
tried, I did try, but they didn't bite, so. They said we can
Katie?
do it.
Signs?
Well, I actually, so Matt and I are working on a grant right now called Safe Streets and Roads for All through the US DOT. It's another federal grant, but they have a lot of planning and demonstration projects. This sounds like a really good planning project that I think we should see if these flashing signs would be effective for our city. And I think those would be the great first places to do it. And there is not a match requirement. So that's due next month.
All right, thank you.
Council members, Gary had a recommendation. Does everybody agree with that, or any other questions or discussions on that? You guys are fine? You guys?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can take that, Matt, and
Sure.
bring it back. You get some information?
Sounds good.
Okay. Next, decision and discussion and possible decision regarding DOT recommendation for leading pedestrian intervals, no right turn on red for the following signalized intersections: Court Street, Wisconsin Street, Walworth Street, Wisconsin Street, and Geneva Street, Lincoln Street.
So the DOT took a look at accidents that happened in the last, I don't know, however long they were able to gather the data for probably. And in two intersections specifically, there were some traffic incidents involving those that were crossing. So I think from talking with Joel today, there was 5 that span from, actually there's 4 in 2016, 1 in 2017 at East Geneva and South Lincoln Street, where there was an accident with a pedestrian. So DOT took a look at that data, and any time that they could get a no turn on red, they'll try to do that, as long as it doesn't cause any backup or queuing. So they feel that the intersections that I listed in the memo, those 3, should all have that leading pedestrian interval. And what that does is when the pedestrian signal comes on for them to cross, it'll have like the light will remain red for like 5 or 6 seconds to allow that resident or the person crossing to get out into the road so that they can be seen by traffic. But there is, some concerns of, that it is going to cause some backing, that people backing up, and maybe the opposite effect, people thinking that they could turn on red and a resident thinking they can cross, and, so I felt that it shouldn't be a decision that maybe staff should be making, that it should be, more involved with the city making the decision, instead of maybe, how Matt feels about it or how Joel feels about it. So that's why it's on the agenda.
Do you have anything to add, Chief, on that?
I guess, first of all, in regards to Walworth and Wisconsin, there has been, I believe, just one crash there that involved a right-on-red vehicle and a pedestrian. And that would have been as the vehicle was traveling south on Wisconsin Street. There's a pedestrian that was crossing and going east on crossing Wisconsin and bumped the lady to the extent that we weren't even called to the scene of the crash. The driver came into the police department following, and that was the only instance of a right-on-red crash at that intersection. So obviously, we see that intersection out of our windows every day, and I don't see a real big need to limit the right-on-red. I think it might actually be counterintuitive. I think you might cause more problems if you were to do something like that. As far as the Lincoln and Geneva Street intersection, as Matt said, I believe there were a total of 4.
4 in 2016 and 1 in 2017.
Yeah, and so the last being in 2017, and we have not had anything since. So I guess I don't see a real big need, I guess, necessarily for that. Again, if I had traffic safety concerns, I would have brought them well before DOT took a look at it. And so we actually asked DOT to provide us some, because they actually have some guidance in their manual, and I think we're waiting to hear back from them as far as what they used to make that determination, because initially it was kind of like, it comes back from this, I think, some intermodal group that kind of gives them this information as far as a recommendation. But they didn't have like any standards, I guess. And so we found what I think are supposed to be the standards, and so we're waiting to hear back from them as far as, tell us what guidance you're using to come up with this recommendation, because I'm not seeing it. Their guidance basically says it's supposed to be 3 or more right turns on red in a 12-month period is supposed to be one of the conditions, and they've only met that at one intersection, and that hasn't happened since 2016. So I would like more information before implementing something like this.
Council?
I don't think we need to do no right-on turns.
I'm
Especially
concerned.
since it's, sorry,
No, you go ahead.
we had, last incident was in 2017. Again, to the chief's point, if there was an issue, he would have raised it long before now, so.
And I think if there ever becomes an issue, he can still bring it back
Right.
and raise it then.
Correct. We don't have to wait for DOT to come back and say something. He can say, hey, we got a problem.
And I could see it potentially causing a road rage incident, because the letter of the law pretty much across the country is you can turn right on red unless otherwise directed by signal.
Right.
And so the first person who stops there, lives in Elkhorn, who knows they can't turn right, the person behind them during Rib Fest or whatever, just gonna be wailing on the horn, they're gonna get out and
Have negative effect.
have a very negative effect. It could be.
Rest of council, you're fine with,
Oh, yeah, nothing, no action.
so do we need a motion for?
Yeah.
No, okay. Okay, if everybody's good, we'll move on.
So so what's the decision?
No.
Just
So
leave
you
it,
don't
leave it the
wanna
way,
vote- you don't
leave it the
wanna-
way it is right now unless,
Okay, so we're
Unless-
gonna direct DOT to,
you can get your information that you're requesting, right? Still?
As far as what guidance they use for that determination?
yeah,
And just, you let them know council's, we're just gonna stay the way it is right now. I mean,
okay,
Unless chief comes with something different.
okay, thank you, I appreciate that. Thanks for the clarification.
Next, discussion and possible decision on reorientation activities for the new alderman and mayor. Is you, Lacey? Adam? Somebody?
Well, I explained to Adam that someone had told me at one point they used to do an orientation for new council members and mayors. When I started as city clerk, it was in COVID, which was your first year as mayor, and we hadn't done anything like that. So, do we want to do some sort of orientation for new members? Do you guys want to take some classes with us or go to any classes? And I'm going to make you new binders that are going to be up to date, so I'm sure you're really excited about that. But
I don't know if any of these aldermen or women have ever had any orientation, have you? Scott, was there any when you came on 25 years ago?
No, but I know there's a class that's offered by CIVMIC.
Is there?
When I first
Like,
started,
hey, you're the new mayor, and hey, you're the new alderman, or whatever.
when I first started as alderman, we all met at the,
Utility.
at the Light and Water Building, and they, all those, department heads told us who they were and what their job duty was, and if you have a question about this, you refer them to so-and-so, and,
so I think Carol's the only one who got to take the class.
I think Frank was there too, but he's no longer on the
yeah,
council.
Frank was there, yeah, Frank was.
So, yeah, it could be just like a roundtable discussion with department heads. I've never done one before, so we'd be winging it for sure. And we would have to do it a few at a time, unless you wanted to have it as an open meeting. Or, Adam suggested,
I don't think it would be very productive for those of us already on the council.
20 years
Right.
almost.
Yeah.
I mean, if
yeah.
they're
oh,
new,
come
if they're
on, you
brand-
want to spend more
if
time
they're,
with
if
us.
they're brand new as a mayor or brand new as a council member, I'm sure that it might have some legitimacy to it, but
Okay.
Well, just for clarification, the thought was, we were trying to just get, we didn't want anyone to feel excluded if we have a new council member come on and we, let's say, schedule time with that council member to have them meet the different department directors, for example,
Yeah.
you know, during the day or whatever time that council member is available. So we just wanted to make sure that, you know, if you guys wanted to do it during an open meeting, we would bring those department directors in an open meeting. If you'd prefer to just have us do it separately, we'll do it separately. That was the intent for putting this on the agenda. We are going to certainly still circulate the information through CIVMIC if anybody wants to do the trainings that they provide. But that was really what the purpose of putting this on the agenda was tonight, just to see if you guys wanted to have the department directors do a presentation during a meeting, or whether you wanted to have this happen outside the meeting at a separate time for those new members, so.
I would think it would be most prudent to have the council members meet with the department heads when they're regularly scheduled, the 8 to 4 kind of thing, versus having all of them come here at 5:30 to say, hi, I'm Steve, I'm in charge of the water department, or whatever. I'm sure they have better things to do at their dinner hour. You can quote me on that.
I don't know, Tim, how is it?
Right, Tim? Tim's always here.
And Dawn.
Is that an edict that he has to be here? No.
It definitely would be an advantage for people moving forward, you know, because when I came on, I was like, oh, okay, I just kind of looked at what everybody else was doing. I was like, okay, what can I do here? What can't I do? Right, right?
Yeah, well, no standing up and pointing, that's that's number one
Yeah.
rule.
So, for new members, do
For
a little
new
thing?
members, and if anybody that's existing that wants to
Sure,
join in
do it.
on it,
Yeah.
make it welcome.
If Lacey's husband is cooking, I'll come.
You can have him quote that too.
Yeah, you quote me on that too.
Okay. So next, discussion and possible decision, re-adding a council meeting on April 15th, 2024, prior to the organizational meeting on April 16th, 2024.
Okay,
So that would, I'm just reading what's on the agenda, Scott.
Well, me being confused is not new. I put in my calendar that we moved it to the 16th, and now we're gonna have to have one on the 15th and the 16th?
They're asking if we want one on the 15th. Adam
Why?
must have something.
No, this is dovetails with the item, the agenda that we just discussed about orientation. part of the thought was, if you wanted to have any sort of an orientation with the new council members and everybody else, you could do that as part of the organizational meeting and have a separate meeting just to do, the remainder of the city business on Monday, because obviously, we'll have a sort of a weird situation, anytime you have a new mayor, new alderman, because, their term ends and then you're swearing in new people, so there's like a little bit of a gap. So we just wanted to check to see whether you want to have one final meeting, close everything out, then you could come in for the organizational meeting, and it would just strictly be a organizational meeting only, no city business other than that, and just, again, it's just asking you what you want to do, so.
Is that what the staff needs us to do?
No, we have no,
I think I'm getting the feel, Adam, they just want to have the Tuesday meeting.
you're gonna get that feel, yes.
Well, that's
No,
the,
I'm just,
yeah, I mean, ever
just
since
by the looks of
COVID.
the,
Ever since COVID, that's the way we've been doing it. I think it works fine. But that's not the way they used to do it. So we just kind of like touched on that topic. Bruce will, I think, then be done on the 3rd. And the council president, according to our statutes, will open the meeting on the 16th. And then we go through all the motions we have to for swearing in new members. So if you guys are good with that, we'll leave it that way.
That works.
Fine with me.
Okay?
okay.
I thought the 16th, right?
No, keep
Yeah.
the 16th.
Keep the 16th, we're not meeting on the 15th.
God.
I gotta turn in my taxes.
Yeah.
All right, next I need a motion to adjourn into closed session, and we will reconvene in open session for possible action on closed session items.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned into closed session.
All right, we've reconvened in open session. It is 6:54.
First item on open session, discussion of possible decision regarding a contract with Assistant Chief Trent Eichman to serve as interim fire chief.
I make a motion to execute the contract.
We have a motion to accept the contract. Do we have a second?
I second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the contract. Any questions, discussion? Roll call, please.
Scott McClory,
Yes.
Carol Young,
Yes.
Ron Dunwoody,
Yes.
Gary Payson Jr.,
Yes.
Tim Sharota.
Yes.
Motion approved, accept the contract for Assistant Chief Trent Eichman to serve as the interim fire chief. Next, discussion and possible decision regarding strategy for crime detection or prevention.
Ask staff to continue to work together towards resolving these issues.
Okay. Next, moving on to C, discussion and possible decision regarding offer to purchase public property on Lot 74.
You make a motion to accept the offer.
We have a motion to accept the offer on Lot 74. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept. Any questions, discussion? Roll call, please.
Gary Payson Jr.,
Yes.
Ron Dunwoody,
Yes.
Scott McClory,
Yes.
Tim Sharota,
Yes.
Carol Young.
Yes.
Motion passed to accept the offer at Lot 74. And last, we have discussion of possible decision regarding enforcement of development agreement and amendments with E&M Elkhorn LLC for Tash Land.
Advise staff to continue to work with the landowner towards resolution.
Okay. Any questions or discussion on that? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.